thus give unto the near of kin their rightful portion, as to the needy and the traveler of no fixed station. This will be best for those who seek God's very pleasure, and it is they who surely prosper.
Bismillah. رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى. The first of our loud salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The second in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. The third, with your loudest voices, in honor of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. There is a request for the brothers to come as close to the front as possible. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam was born in the year 570, known as the year of the elephant. He occupies a prominent position within the religion of Islam and is revered as the greatest personality within the religion. A man whose life has to be examined in depth, for there are many lessons to be learnt and indeed many examples to be derived. And indeed a man whose biography has been unfortunately very much undervalued and indeed very much underestimated. Therefore it is vital that we discuss his biography from the day that he was born until the day he died, in order that we are able to, number one, take as many practical lessons from his life and apply them into our own lives, and then number two, remove any misconceptions that surround his biography. For there was a period in medieval Europe when he was seen as being the devil incarnate, or he was seen as being the false Messiah, or he was seen as being the Antichrist. And therefore there is a need for us to dissect the biography in order that we present him in his true light as a mercy for mankind and a moral exemplar to everyone. As we said, he was born in the year 570, known as the year of the elephant. The Arabs did not have a calendar dating system as such. The The Arabs, what they used to do, they used to look at what was the important event in that particular year, and then give the name towards the year. As in, for example, if there was a famous personality who died, they would name the year after that personality. Or if there was a war that took place, they would name, for example, the year after that war. The year within which the Prophet was born was called Am al-Fil, the year of the elephant, because of an incident that took place involving an army of elephants. Because what you had at the time, you had within Arabia people who used to go and visit the Kaaba. In Yemen, there was a church which was built by an Ethiopian man by the name of Abraha. Mark the words Ethiopian, because Abraha's niece is Bilal al-Habashi's mother. Abraha's niece, later on when she's caught as a prisoner, she gets married within one of the Arabian tribes and she gives birth to a son by the name of Bilal. Hence, when Bilal is known as of the people of Habash, it's because his mother's uncle was this Abraha, who was an Ethiopian but was the governor of Yemen. Abraha had always been envious of the fact that there were people who would go towards the Kaaba but not come towards his church in Yemen. He had tried to send emissaries and ambassadors to go towards the Kaaba and to try and tell the Arabs that, listen, leave your place of worship because your place has been polluted. Originally you are people of Abraham, but now you worship idols. It's better that all of you come to my church in Yemen and make my church the main center of the area. When he had sent one of his emissaries, when he noticed that the emissaries were not successful, the narrations tell us that he decided it's better for him to take his army and march into the Kaaba and to take an army of elephants. Hence, within the religion of Islam, you have a chapter called Surah Al-Fil, chapter 105 of the Quran. And the chapter begins, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. Have you not seen how your Lord dealt with the people of the elephant? Because when Abraha came, he came with elephants. There was only a few elephants that he bought. But as we know, elephants are of a size that there only needs to be a few for them to capture your attention. When he came towards Arabia, he came with these elephants, and there were people who definitely were scared. That's why the main person who counteracted him was who? Was Abdul Muttalib, the grandfather of the Prophet. Abdul Muttalib told the people, number one, go and hide in the desert hills. So they went to hide in the desert hills. Then Abdul Muttalib was chosen by the people to go and meet Abraha. Notice from the beginning of the biography of the Prophet, we see that the line of Abraham through Ismail is still looking after the birthplace of Ismail. Yesterday we said in Genesis chapter 17 verse 18 to 20, God promised Abraham that in the line of Ismail there will be 12 princes who are part of a fruitful generation. Abdul Muttalib, what did he do? Abdul Muttalib at this moment came to Abraha. He entered Abraha's tent. Abraha was sitting down. When he entered the tent, Abraha looked at him. He saw quite an imposing figure. He then said to him, sit down. And he said to him, what is it that you want? He said, I want my camels. He said, sorry? He said, I want my camels. You took my camels. I want my camels returned back to me. He looked at him and he said, you know, when you entered my tent, I had a lot of respect for you. But now I've lost all that respect. Abdul Muttalib said, why? He said, when you entered my tent, I thought this is a man who will want his black cube known as the Kaaba protected. Instead, all you want is the camels? He said, that house has a Lord for its own to protect it. And I am the protector of my lot of camels. I want my 200 camels being given back to me. He said to him, get out, get out. There's no agreement between us. Abdul Muttalib came back a second time to try and persuade him. Again, Abraha wouldn't agree. Abraha decided he'll take his elephant, and most of the narrations indicate another 6 or 7 elephants, and march towards the Kaaba. They marched towards the Kaaba, and the Quran put it quite beautifully. When the Quran said, أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ أَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ كَيْدَهُمْ بِتَضْلِيلٍ وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ طَيْرًا أَبَابِيلَ تَرْمِيهِمْ. You all see that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what did He do? He ensured that if you plan and I plan, I'm the greatest of planners. These elephants were coming. They were ready to bring their victory. The narration states very clearly that some birds with these stones pelted them until the opposition army was defeated. In other words, Rasulullah, the year that he was born, the Arabs hadn't begun the Hijrah calendar. We know the Hijrah calendar began after what? The Hijrah calendar after the Prophet migrated from Mecca to Medina. Then you had 1AH, 2AH, 3AH, 4AH. Before that, what did you have? Years according to incidents. So the date of his birth is differed on between the different schools in Islam. Our brothers in other schools celebrate his birth on the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal. We celebrate his birth on the 17th of Rabi' al-Awwal. It is vital that this isn't a cause of friction between us. Why? Sayyid al-Khumaini, may Allah bless his soul, used to stress on this week being a week of unity between Muslims. Because all of us are sharing a common denominator, and that is the life of our Prophet. It should be a case where on the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal, our mosques go, or our imams go to the mosques of our brothers and celebrate with them. And on the 17th, our brothers are welcomed into our mosques to celebrate with us. There is a difference of opinion, and in the historical research you'll find, I think barring Shaykh al-Kulaini, most of the others will say that he was born on the 17th of Rabi' al-Awwal. It wasn't an easy first few years for him. Imagine in your first few years, your father passes away, according to some narrations, only a few months into his life. His father Abdullah passes away, and therefore Rasulullah is born an orphan. Hence the Quran saying, أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى. When the Quran says, أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى, what does it mean? It means, did we not find you an orphan? The Prophet, when he was born an orphan. His mother Amina was alive, but his father Abdullah had passed away. And his mother Amina did what most Arabs do to their babies at the time. If you were of the noble aristocracy of Mecca, what would you do to your baby? After 8 days of the birth of your baby, the Meccan aristocrats would take their babies to the desert, so that their babies are suckled and breastfed by a wet nurse in the desert. Someone asks why? As in Amina is his mother, why can't she suckle him? Why does she have to take him to the desert? There were a number of reasons the Arabs would take their babies to the deserts, and especially the aristocrats. If you were poor, it wasn't that easy. But if you were an aristocrat, you take your baby to the desert for a number of reasons. Number one, and please understand these reasons, because they have a major role on the upbringing and the psyche of the Prophet. The first reason, it allows you to grow up in an environment where you are independent and you are a free thinker for the first few years of your life. What do we mean? We mean in the desert there isn't buildings and there isn't all of these forests around.